Mother, mother, there's too many of you crying.
Every song on this list was too much for its time, too sexual, too honest, too dangerous for the people who controlled the airwaves. And radio, TV, and record executives tried to bury every single one of them.
There's far too many of you die.
They failed, because the songs were simply too good to kill. And today on R&B Lounge, we're counting down the 15 R&B songs that got banned, censored, and blacklisted, and still became some of the biggest hits in music history. Stick around, because number one is the song that got pulled off American radio for telling the truth, and it's still considered one of the most important recordings ever made. Number 15, Nasty Girl by Vanity 6, 1982.
That's right, pleased to meet you. I still won't tell you my name. Don't you believe?
In 1982, Prince built an entire girl group from scratch just to sing the songs even H.E. thought were too explicit for his own voice. And the result was Vanity 6. 3 women in lingerie, singing about wanting 7 inches or more on a limousine floor. American radio froze. The lyrics were considered so graphic that Nasty Girl never even cracked the Billboard Hot 100. It simply wasn't allowed the airplay to get there, even as Prince's name was quietly attached to every note as writer and producer. But the clubs didn't care what network radio thought. DJs across the country spun it anyway, and Nasty Girl rocketed to number 1 on the dance charts, turning Vanity into an icon, and secretly laying the groundwork for the sound Madonna would later make into a billion-dollar career. Decades later, the song still shows up in films and on dance floors. Proof that a track too nasty for radio can still outlive the very stations that refuse to play it. Number 14, Knockin' the Boots by H-Town, 1993. When we made good. 4 young men from Houston walked into a studio in 1992 with a song built entirely around one idea: 2 people, 1 night, 0 subtlety, and titled it Knockin' the Boots. Somebody rockin', knockin' the boots. Some radio programmers heard it and panicked. Stations in markets like New Mexico and California went as far as pulling the record from rotation entirely, calling it too graphic, too suggestive, simply too much for daytime airwaves. It didn't matter. Fans requested it relentlessly, urban radio embraced it where mainstream stations wouldn't, and Knockin' the Boots climbed all the way to number 1 on the R&B chart and number 3 on the Hot 100, going platinum and winning H-Town a Soul Train Music Award as Best New Artist. More than 30 years later, that slow, sultry groove is still a wedding reception and slow jam playlist staple. The station bands are a footnote nobody remembers, but the song never left. Number 13, Blurred Lines by Robin Thicke, 2013. By the summer of 2013, Blurred Lines was inescapable on every radio station in America, except on college campuses, where a rebellion was quietly building. Student unions across the United Kingdom, starting with Edinburgh University, began banning the song outright from being played at campus bars, clubs, and student events, arguing its lyrics blurred the line on consent, and within weeks, dozens more universities followed, turning a pop song into a genuine cultural flashpoint.
I know you want it, baby. Oh, yes, you do. But you're a good.
The backlash made headlines worldwide, sparked debates on morning news shows, and somehow, instead of killing the song, it fueled it.
No more pretending. 'Cause now you're winning.
Blurred Lines became the best-selling single of the year in the UK and spent 12 weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 in the US.
Baby, it's in your nature. Just let me liberate you.
To this day, it remains one of the most controversial #1 records of the decade, banned in lecture halls, blasted in every other room in the building.
He was close. Try to domesticate you. But you're an animal.
Number 12, Window Seat by Erykah Badu, 2010.
Presently, I'm standing here right now, you're so demanding.
In March 2010, Erykah Badu walked down a real street in downtown Dallas in one continuous take, slowly removing her clothes as the camera rolled. And by the end of the video, she was completely nude, collapsing at the exact spot where President Kennedy was assassinated.
Tell me what you want from me. Conclude.
It was staged as a statement about groupthink and conformity, but Dallas police didn't see art. They saw a crime.
Come and look for me, yeah.
A witness filed a complaint, and Badu was formally charged with disorderly conduct, ultimately paying a fine and serving probation for the stunt, while networks aired only the blurred, restricted version. The controversy exploded across entertainment news for weeks, with critics calling it reckless and fans calling it fearless. And in the middle of the chaos, the song itself quietly became one of Badu's signature tracks.
A look around and the same touchdown.
Window Seat went on to win a Grammy Award, proving that sometimes the video that gets you arrested is the video that gets you immortalized.
Back and forth like lightning hops. If anybody speak to Scotty, tell him be.
Number 11, Pony by Ginuwine, 1996.
I'm just a bachelor. I'm looking for a partner.
Timbaland handed a 26-year-old singer named Ginuwine a track built on bullfrog croaks, a slide whistle, and a stuttering alien drum pattern, unlike anything on R&B radio in 1996, and paired it with lyrics that left absolutely nothing to the imagination.
I'm sitting here blushing. I'm deep in your.
The video was so overtly sexual that MTV required an entirely re-edited, cleaned version. Explicit gestures removed frame by frame just to get it into rotation, while radio stations across the country ran a separate, softened edit just to keep it on the air. None of the censorship slowed it down. Pony rocketed to #1 on the R&B chart and reached the top 10 on the Hot 100, launching both Ginuwine and producer Timbaland into superstardom almost overnight. And 16 years later, Pony got the ultimate second life, becoming the unforgettable soundtrack to Channing Tatum's opening striptease in Magic Mike, introducing an entire new generation to the song Too Hot for 90s television. Number 10, Freak Like Me by Adina Howard, 1995. A 20-year-old singer from Michigan walked into 1995 with a single question in her chorus: "Do you like it rough?" and the record industry did not know what to do with her.
You're moving kind of slow. You gotta keep it up now. There you go. That's
Freak Like Me was so aggressively sexual for its era that it made national news. The Los Angeles Times ran a feature specifically about the controversy the song was stirring, and plenty of radio programmers hesitated to spin the uncensored version at all, wary of the backlash.
care what they say. I'm not about to pay nobody's way. 'Cause it's all
Howard refused to soften her image or apologize for the record, and listeners rewarded her boldness. Freak Like Me shot to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, went platinum, and made Adina Howard a household name almost overnight.
baby, it's on any time of day. So now for me.
Nearly 30 years later, historians credit her as one of the first women in R&B to own her sexuality this openly and unapologetically, paving the way for a generation of female artists who followed.
We can all through the night till the early morning.
Number 9. Freak Me by Silk, 1993. Silk wasn't even supposed to release Freak Me as a single. The five-man group, mentored by Keith Sweat, was so nervous about the song's explicit lyrics that they almost buried it, worried it would trigger boycotts and parental advisory stickers. Then, a single radio programmer in Houston got hold of the album, started spinning Freak Me on his own, and the phones would not stop ringing. Listener demand forced the label's hand, and Elektra Records rushed it out as an official single. The gamble paid off beyond anyone's imagination. Freak Me hit number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 for 2 full weeks and topped the R&B chart for 8, becoming the defining hit of Silk's entire career. The song the group was terrified would get them blacklisted from churches and radio stations instead became one of the biggest slow jams of the entire decade. Number 8. I Want Your Sex by George Michael, 1987. George Michael stepped out of Wham! In 1987 as a solo artist with a single blunt title, I Want Your Sex, released right in the middle of the global AIDS crisis, when the world was terrified of exactly that subject. The BBC didn't hesitate. They banned the song from daytime radio entirely, restricting it to late-night hours only, and pulled the video off television outright over its explicit content. George Michael later said he wasn't even surprised by the decision. American radio softened it slightly, some stations even airing a version where the word sex was quietly swapped for love, but the controversy only made headlines, and headlines sold records. I Want Your Sex shot to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, went platinum, and became the song that reintroduced George Michael to the world, not as a boy band heartthrob anymore, but as a serious, provocative solo artist. Number 7. Darling Nikki by Prince, 1984. Buried on side 2 of the Purple Rain album was 4 minutes that would spark a national moral panic. A song about a woman Prince meets in a hotel lobby in a moment far too explicit to be spoken on daytime radio. When Tipper Gore heard her 11-year-old daughter singing along to it, she was so alarmed that she co-founded the Parents Music Resource Center, and darling Nikki was placed #1 on their infamous Filthy 15 list, launching Senate hearings and eventually forcing the entire music industry to adopt the parental advisory sticker still used today. Radio simply would not touch the unedited song, and it was never even released as an official single. Yet it became one of the most talked about tracks of the entire decade, purely through word of mouth and outrage. Purple Rain went on to sell over 25 million copies worldwide, and Darling Nikki remains one of Prince's most legendary, most covered deep cuts. The song Too Dangerous to Release, that changed the music industry forever anyway. Number 6. Super Freak by Rick James, 1981.
She's a very kinky girl, the kind you don't take home to my body.
Rick James brought Super Freak to a Los Angeles radio programmer to preview it before release, and the DJ told him flatly, "Stations will never touch this. It's too raw." James went back into the studio and softened the lyrics just enough to slip past the censors.
She will never let your spirits down.
It wasn't enough for MTV. When James submitted the music video, the still new network refused to air it. A decision one executive later admitted was partly about not wanting the network's first black artist to be one built around this kind of image, on a channel that, at the time, largely excluded black musicians altogether.
She's a very kinky girl, that kind you...
James was furious, publicly accusing MTV of racism in the press. And while the video ban became a genuine controversy, the song didn't need MTV to become massive.
She likes the boys in the band. She says that...
Super Freak climbed into the top 20 on the Hot 100 and became Rick James's signature hit and career-defining song.
14, I'll be waiting. When I get there, she's got incense, wine, and candy.
9 years later, MC Hammer sampled its iconic bass line for You Can't Touch This, introducing Super Freak to an entirely new generation and cementing it as one of the most recognizable grooves in music history.
She's alright. She's alright. That girl's alright.
Number 5. Love to Love You Baby by Donna Summer, 1975. Donna Summer recorded her vocals alone, lights dimmed, lying on the studio floor, because she was too embarrassed to perform the song's 22 simulated moans and sighs in front of the male engineers watching through the glass.
Baby, love to love you, baby.
The finished track was so explicit that the BBC banned Love to Love You Baby outright, and in the United States, Reverend Jesse Jackson publicly condemned it through his organization Operation Push, warning it promoted promiscuity to teenagers across the country. None of it mattered to the dance floor. Casablanca Records stretched the song into a 17-minute epic. American radio stations began playing it at midnight, promising listeners, quote-unquote, 20 minutes of pure love, and the song rocketed to number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100. Love to Love You Baby didn't just make Donna Summer a star. The BBC's own band helped invent the entire concept of the extended disco single, reshaping dance music for the rest of the decade.
Love you, baby, love to love.
Number 4. Lady Marmalade by LaBelle, 1974. Patti LaBelle sang the now iconic French line about propositioning a stranger for an entire year before she found out what it actually meant. The song was written about Creole prostitutes working New Orleans' French Quarter, and once broadcasters caught on, the backlash was immediate. When LaBelle performed the song on Cher's television variety show in 1975, network censors refused to let them sing the real French lyrics on air, forcing the group to swap the suggestive line for a watered-down version about simply wanting to dance. Television could sanitize the performance, but it couldn't stop the momentum. Lady Marmalade climbed to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, becoming LaBelle's biggest and most enduring hit, and it eventually earned a spot in the Grammy Hall of Fame. Nearly 30 years later, Christina Aguilera, Lil' Kim, Maya, and Pink covered it for Moulin Rouge, and it hit #1 all over again, proving the censors never actually won. Number 3. What's Going On? By Marvin Gaye, 1971.
There's far too many of you dying.
Motown founder Berry Gordy heard Marvin Gaye's new song about police brutality, war, and poverty in Black America, and told him flatly that it was the worst thing he'd ever heard. Gordy refused to release it, calling it uncommercial and too political for a soul label built on love songs.
Father, we don't need you.
Gaye pushed anyway, going over Gordy's head, and when the label finally, reluctantly put it out, it sold 100,000 copies in its first week alone, forcing Motown to let him build an entire album around it, against the wishes of the man who ran the company.
We've got to find a way to bring some understanding.
The Gamble became one of the most important records in American music history. What's Going On hit the top 5 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the album is now routinely ranked among the greatest of all time by critics worldwide.
You know we've got to find a way to bring some love in.
Berry Gordy, the man who almost buried it, later admitted publicly that refusing to release What's Going On was one of the biggest mistakes of his entire career.
You know we've got to find a way to bring.
Number 2. A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke, 1964. Sam Cooke was one of the biggest crossover stars in America. Smooth, safe, beloved by white and black audiences alike, until he heard Bob Dylan's "Blowin' in the Wind" and felt ashamed that a white folk singer had written the civil rights anthem he should have written.
And I tell him, I said, brother, help me believe.
He wrote, "A Change Is Gonna Come," in response, a raw, personal song about being turned away from a whites-only motel, about dying before ever seeing equality. And it was so radically different from his usual sound that RCA hesitated to push it, wary of alienating his mainstream fan base and southern radio stations.
Oh, look at here, a change gonna come.
Cooke never got to see how it landed. He was shot and killed in December 1964, just weeks before the song was finally released as a single, and it became one of the most enduring, most quietly powerful anthems of the entire civil rights movement. Today, A Change Is Gonna Come is preserved in the Library of Congress and regularly named one of the greatest songs ever recorded. The song a scared record label almost sat on, that outlived every fear they had about it.
And I'm afraid to die.
Number 1. Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday, 1939. In 1939, Billie Holiday stood in front of a New York nightclub crowd. The room went completely dark except for a single spotlight on her face, and she sang a song describing black bodies hanging from southern trees, a direct, unflinching protest against lynching in America.
And the twisted mouth.
Her own record label, Columbia, was too afraid to release it, forcing Holiday to record it instead with the tiny independent label Commodore Records. And when it hit the airwaves, most American radio stations simply refused to play something so openly political and so devastating to hear.
Strange.
Holiday performed it anyway, night after night, insisting the room go silent and dark every single time, turning 3 minutes of music into a ritual of mourning that audiences never forgot.
Scent of magnolia sweet.
Strange Fruit was later named Song of the Century by Time magazine, inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame, and is now widely considered one of the most important protest songs ever recorded. Proof that the song America's radio stations were too scared to play became the song history refused to let anyone forget.
Is swinging in the summer.
15 songs, 15 bands, 15 artists told their music was too much, too dangerous, or too honest for the public to hear. And every single one of them was wrong. If this countdown opened your eyes to a story you never knew, hit subscribe on R&B Lounge, drop a comment with the song that shocked you most, and we'll see you in the next one.